Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, tuning in with our online affiliates around the world, including our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcasts. We're glad you all could be with us as well. Well, all of us have heard the name Jimi Hendrix, but our next two guests are giving us his life in ways that we have not seen, I think, or heard of before. We're excited to welcome author Charles R. Smith, Jr. to our program, as well as illustrator Edel Rodriguez, to talk about their new book, Song for Jimi, the story of guitar legend Jimi Hendrix. If you're just now hearing about the book, of course, we'll let you guys know how you can be able to get it for yourself. But Charles, Edel, hello to you, and welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us. Hello, nice to be here. Thank you.
Definitely all mine. Charles, I want to start with you. As I said, people know the name Jimi Hendrix, but I don't think they've ever seen his story being brought to life this way. What has it been like for you to have this gift to be able to share with the rest of us?
Oh, it's awesome. Jimi is such a prolific icon. It was very interesting to learn how he got there and seeing the pain that he went through, all of the commitment that he put and effort that he put into learning this guitar, and some of the things that he went through in his life to become the musician that he ultimately became.
And Edel, for you, to be able to bring to light the story, of course, I was able to get an advanced reader's copy, and, the artwork is just amazing. What was it like for you to be able to bring your own personality to this story when it comes to bringing it to life in pictures?
Well, I think when I first sort of found Jimi's music, I was in high school and then later in college. And, when I was making my paintings, studying in college, I would listen to his music while I worked. So, and at that time it influenced my work, my personal work, But here, all of a sudden, I had the opportunity to make work while listening to his music, and to make work about him. And it was a wonderful responsibility to be able to translate his life onto paper and into this book.
Yeah, I love that. A wonderful responsibility. Edel, I want to stay with you for just a second there. But as we talk about creativity, of course, Jimi is known for that. Talk to us about that for yourself. Have you always known that you were meant to create in some capacity?
Yeah, I was probably about 5, 6 years old when I remember making my first drawings, and then once I got into I came to the United States, and I arrived in 3rd, 4th grade. Almost every year I started getting awards for art and things like that, and it was just it was very natural. It felt like that's what I was meant to do, and then it was the next step is how do you do that, and where do you go from there? But I basically have spent my entire life making art in one way or another, and one of the things that I have in common with Jimi Hendrix is this idea of inventiveness, of finding things that someone might think is noise, or someone might think is visual noise, but turning that into something that gets converted and changed into something that you really want to look at or that you want to listen to in terms of his music. So I feel like a kinship with him.
Yeah. Charles, what about for you? Have you always known that you were going to create in some form or fashion? And if so, when did that kind of take shape for you in words?
Kind of did, because as a kid, I used to write a lot of stories and poetry and such. But I'm a visual artist myself. I actually went to college for photography, excuse me, and I continued writing. I'm actually old enough to have been in a world where there was no hip-hop, and then I got to see the invention of hip-hop. And so that began to influence my writing. But I actually became a visual artist, and it wasn't until I moved to New York after I graduated college years later that I was able to actually put the two together. So even though I wrote this book, I have plenty of other books where I did the photography and the words. And that stemmed from me just creating a lot when I was a kid. You know, like Edel said, even though, you know, I wanted to be an astronaut, I wanted to be a spy, I wanted to be all these things, but, excuse me, I was naturally good at just creating things from out of my head and being an observer and then, you know, engaging in what it was that I was observing, whether it be writing or taking pictures of it.
So, Charles, how did you decide how you wanted to tell this story? Because, it is, of course, a story of his life, but it's also a story that is almost rhythmic in itself. How did you decide how you wanted to be able to share it?
Well, most of my books, I use poetry, and I've done biographies in verse, so I knew that it was going to rhyme. I decided to make it a song because he's a musician, but that also was able to give me a structure. And when you're a writer, whenever you can have a structure, that's kind of the scaffolding that everything holds around. So that made it really easy. So then I just started looking at his songs. And I mean looking in terms of not just listening, but paying attention. Oh, he's got a verse. Oh, this is a bridge. Oh, this is an interlude. Oh, this is this. You know, I had to learn the vernacular of music so that I could basically, you know, use that structure and then fill it in with the details from his life. And then I used a lot of music, his music lyrics, music titles. There's a number of them in there scattered throughout as kind of an homage to, you know, some of the words that he threw around in his, you know, in his songs and, you know, like I said, in the world of music in general.
Edel, I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm going to ask you for myself and the audience. How did the marriage of the two come together? I mean, did you get the book first to illustrate with, or was there collaboration as the process was going on? How did it kind of come together that your artwork kind of merged with the words?
Well, usually the way it works is the writer comes up with the book on their own, you know, and they come up with the manuscript and the story, and they find a publisher that would like to publish that story, and then the publisher and the art director at the publishing company scope around, look for an artist. So I came into it after the story had been written, and then I'm offered the story as, would you like to illustrate this book? And I'm like, heck yeah. So that's when I you know got involved. But I actually didn't talk to or meet Charles. It's a very like you know, the writer does his part, I do my part, and then when the book is finished is actually when we finally met and we started talking to each other.
Yeah.
Wow. Two of the pictures that you did that really stood out to me was one depicting Jimmy playing the broom, and then we see him with the guitar, you know, playing the guitar. I mean, I think, you know, young people in particular will really, I think, be arrested by the artwork and really draw them into the power of the imagination. Charles, is part of this for you reminding us all, young and old, about the power of the dream?
Oh, for sure. I mean, hearing, that image that you mentioned, it talks about, the line is basically talking about him listening to all these musicians on the radio, and when his dad asked him to clean the house, he's got his broom, and he just becomes a rock star right then and there. So the seed is planted. And to think that he goes from strumming that broom at age 14 to 10 years later smashing his guitar at Monterey, to see that much happen in 10 years, that's the beauty of the book, because a kid can see that and you're like, wait a minute, he went from playing the broom in 10 years to this. That's something really that I really hope connects with people, and I think it does, because the artwork connected, the words in that regard.
Yeah, that image of him playing the broom, if you go back a few pages, the same gesture of Jimmy playing his electric guitar. So I wanted to get that across, I start him playing the electric guitar, but then I sort of go back in time, and it's the same back gesture, the same background and everything.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is an amazing story, and I think visually definitely helps, I think, the audience to be able to see not only the greatness of the man, but also, the greatness of the dream as well. Again, everyone, Charles R. Smith Jr. and Edel Rodriguez have been our guests. We're discussing the book, Song for Jimmy, the story of guitar legend Jimi-Hendrix. You guys can go ahead and pre-order it right now through our friends at Amazon.com, both the Kindle edition and the print edition. The official release is November 23rd, depending on how you guys are listening to us. Also, of course, there are other places you can be able to get the book as well. And Charles, how can our audience stay connected with you?
They can follow me on Twitter at CRSJR. I also have a YouTube channel, which is just my full name, Charles R. Smith Jr. Just be warned, I don't post very much on Twitter. I'm a writer and an artist, so I spend my energies writing stuff for there as opposed to big Twitter rants and stuff. But I do like to let people know what's going on, so check it out.
Edel, what about for you? How can our audience stay connected with you?
I'm on Instagram under my name, Edel Rodriguez, and my website is edelrodriguez.com. And I'm pretty active on Instagram. I post almost daily drawings and things like that. As I make it in the studio, it goes on Instagram.
Gotcha. Well, look, thanks to the two of you. Congratulations again, and looking forward to having the two of you back on the program.
Thanks so much.
Okay, glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.